Today's lesson is going to cover the idea of assigning a number to chords. If you remember in a previous lesson, we went over assigning each individual note within a scale a certain number. So in the key of C, if I asked for the sixth note of the key of C, you would start on your 1 and count up within the scale all the way to 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So A is the sixth note in the key of C. Now, chords follow the same idea. If I asked for a 1 chord in the key of C, you would play. If I asked for a 2 chord, a 3 chord in the key of C, 4 chord, and I think you get the idea. As you move along, here's your 5, your 6, your 7, and back to your 1. Now, it's important to note two things. Number one is that if I asked for a 2 chord, my thumb or my lowest finger is going to be on the second note of the scale. And from there, the second thing, you have to create your chord, which is, remember, you skip a note within the scale and go to the next note, skip a note within the scale and go to the next note. That's how you create your chord. You take the third interval and the fifth interval from the root. Okay, so one more time, two important things. Make sure if you're playing a 2 chord, your lowest finger, your root, is on the second note of the scale. So 1, 2, and from there, you skip a note within the scale, move to your next note, skip a note within the scale, move to the next note. That's how you create your chord. So that would be a 2 chord in the key of C. Let's practice this idea in the key of D. One chord. 2, 3, and let's pause it here. This chord is a little more complicated than what we've seen in the key of C. So we are asking for a 3 chord in the key of D. Let's see here. So 1, 2, 3. Okay, that note is correct. Now, how do I find the rest of my other notes to complete my chord? How do I know if I'm playing this, this, this? How do you know which one to play? Remember, if you know your scales, all you do is you skip a note within the scale and move to the next one. So in the key of D, so the next note in the key of D is G, and we're going to move to A. We're going to play that one. Next note in the key of D is B right here, and move to the next one. And that is your chord. So a 3 chord in the key of D. Let's move to the key of E. I'll do this slowly. 4 sharps in the key of E. Make sure your thumb is on every appropriate root. If you want to play a 1 chord, make sure your thumb is on the 1 note or the first note of the scale. And G. A, and B. And I'm going to bring it down an octave so you can see what I'm doing. So this is the last chord I hit, and I'm moving up and finishing on B. Okay, so remember the idea of moving your thumb to whatever chord you want to play. If you want to play a 3 chord in a particular key, your root, your thumb, your lowest note has to be on that particular chord number. Now, let's go over one more idea. Rather, it's not an idea, it's just actually a way to piece this all together. Why do we assign numbers to our chords? The reason why we do that is just for an ease of communication. If you wanted to jam with some musicians and they were jamming in the key of C, you'd probably hear one of them say, hey, let's jam on a 1, 6, 2, 5. So with your newfound knowledge of how to play these chords, a 1, 6, 2, 5, here's a 1 in the key of C. A 6 would be what? We know that the 6th note was what? A. Remember, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so instead of going all the way up here, I'm just going to come down to this A. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So here's my 1, my 6, and then what? 2 and 5. So here's 2, and then I'll move down to 5 right here. Okay, so that would sound something like this. A 1, 6, 2, 5. Okay, watch how cool this is. This is probably a little bit of motivation for you. If you give a little bit of voice into these chords, it's going to be the same progression, 1, 6, 2, 5. I'm going to give a little bit more of a musical feel to the chords, more dynamic, more depth by adding certain notes. Don't worry, you'll learn how to do this eventually. Okay, so that's a 1, 6, 2, 5. I hope this lesson was helpful. I'll see you next time.